Hello everybody and welcome to the third day of RoboCon. We've had a lot of exciting topics and talks already, but the third day is the most technical day. Qentinel is the main platinum sponsor for the most technical day and has been involved in the development of robot framework from the beginning and want to give our support to the actual community. And now, even this year, we are releasing some of our libraries as open source and give back to the community and help them use the tools, and therefore that we've also gained from the whole of community so that the community can also benefit from what we have done. But before that, I would like to share you a bit of a history lesson on what's actually been going on with Robot Framework and how has Qentinel been involved with the whole development of Robot Framework. It all begins in 2005 when Nokia and a couple of other companies are looking for a nice framework on actually running unit tests. And some of the people who then worked at Qentinel, for example Pekka Clark, started developing the framework around easy to use testing framework for Nokia. This development would eventually lead to Robot Framework, and this would be developed inside Nokia and continue to be developed in there until 2008, when the actual Robot Framework number 1 release version 1.0 is actually released to the public. And because of its reputation even inside Nokia and in other companies in Finland, it quite quickly gets a good community around it, even with the release of its first version. And even now you can still say a lot of companies who've adopted it back then still using it. It has also built up quite a big community around it of different libraries and different tools to be used inside a framework to be tested. So you can nowadays test APIs, you can test web applications, mobile applications, even IoT devices and actual robots with Robot Framework. This whole growth of the community has been sped up and supported by something that was founded in 2015, and more stable growth and more support for the actual development of the trunk Robot Framework was wanted. Finnish companies as Qentinel, Omenia, Efficode, Eliga, HiQ, Reactor and Knowit banded together to form the Robot Framework Foundation, which is now the organization behind this whole event and organizing the whole RoboCon, and has organized it from there. So we've been involved with the whole Robot Framework Foundation from its inception and still want to support it with all of these other companies. And this really shows that the whole open source economy is growing, as so many different companies have gotten a lot of support and a lot of actual benefits from this open source technology. And I think in the future these kind of open source ecosystems are the way to the future, where many companies can develop the base technologies and then use them all around. This 2015 creation of foundation actually helped create an even more larger ecosystem where many libraries were forked from the Robot Framework Foundation. All of these different companies putting some of their toolings into open source or starting to develop their internal libraries on top of Robot Framework, as it's been found now to be growing not just in Finland but also abroad. Also at Qentinel, we were not idle at ourselves at all. What we did also was what all of the other companies also did, was to start creating our own libraries on top of Robot Framework. These were kept closed source at that point because of the way that these libraries were used on some of our clients and some of the other history in there, which you will also find out more in the coming months from the press releases and all the other information that we will be sharing on the development of these libraries. But what basically happened, we started developing multiple different libraries from that version. What happened was we created the platform which is now our product, Qentinel Base, which is the number 1 place to run Robot Framework in the cloud for testing purposes nowadays. You can provision clusters from us and run the testing on any kind of platform, be it mobile, be it Android, or be it desktop. And behind this whole thing are our own libraries called QMobile, QWeb, which have been the baseline for our development for a long time and been the closed source tools that we've been using in developing all of these libraries and getting all of the customers that we've been using to also use. Also, because of the development that we've done internally, we have created QVision library, which is now based on image recognition and using image recognition based technologies to support UI testing and end-to-end testing without even having to touch the source code. All of these libraries have been developed in-house on top of the open source ecosystem provided by Robot Framework and wouldn't have been possible without the whole ecosystem of Robot Framework. And that's why now in 2021 we have decided to also start open sourcing some of our core libraries to benefit also others who can also test them and use them to build tests. We are taking QWeb out of the closed source model and actually releasing it as an open source model and bringing it back to the ecosystem that we've helped build and want to support still. This QWeb library is one of our most dear child that we've created. It is a library which takes the format of testing and makes it really concise, building on really simple keywords such as click text, verify text, click button, click element. We want to make testing as easy and as simple as possible, so it's not deeply down in expats or jargon or something else. We want to democratize the actual creation of testing and discussion around testing. This format of test-driven development that you can do, or acceptance-driven test development with clearly recognizable cases and readable cases on what this test does, and when it fails you can actually quite easily verify what's actually going on in that test based on the syntax of the text. We have gotten tremendous feedback on the way that this has helped lower maintenance of test cases. The percentage of work spent on maintenance is not 50%, it's not 40%, it's even closer to 20% that's now being used to maintenance and not spending time updating old tests when you're changing versions because of the way that QWeb works, or the actual UI elements interacting with the system in the same way as humans would interact with it. As I said, we are now releasing this version to the public and as an open source under Apache license. What we want to do is give you an opportunity to test the same libraries that we have been using for multiple years successfully. So you can now go into pip, download QWeb. Just write pip install QWeb and the libraries can be downloaded into your instance of Robot Framework. But the easiest way to test it, if you do not have a local setup or instance, you can go into paste.qentinel.com and set up an account there and do it all on the web. No need to build up your own environments, no need to have anything installed on your own machine. If you want to do web testing, you can do it directly from the cloud. And this is what we will believe also will revolutionize the way you do testing and help you understand how your actual websites work and how all of these other things work. Also, this will not probably be our last open source release. We have a lot of other technologies coming in the pipeline and really want to be a part of the community. Thank you everybody who's now at RoboCon, and thank you everybody who participated in our QWeb workshop on Monday. We will be organizing more of these workshops in the future outside of RoboCon and helping everybody get up to speed with QWeb and how it compares to the other libraries out there for web automation. We hope that our library will really boost your organizations and your performance on creating, testing, and give you the best developer experience in writing web tests. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you from Qentinel.